Welcome to the Better Bid Calling Podcast, a podcast designed with you in mind. Our goal is to make good auctioneers great and great auctioneers better through education and motivation. Join your host, champion auctioneer Joshua Houston, and his award-winning and industry-leading guests every month to learn insights and tips regarding auction contests and the auction industry so you too can proudly say, sold! What's up, dude?
Not much. What's up with you?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here with you, man.
It's hot out today.
Yeah, dude, it's like, what, 80-something degrees?
76 on my truck coming in, but it's going to be back down like 50 tomorrow. So.
All right, so I don't understand how we're going to be in the 80s today, 50s tomorrow without a line of storms coming through.
Yeah, I don't either. Of course, I was talking, lady was just chit-chatting at the gas pump yesterday. I was getting gas, and she said that she had a friend just moved here from West Virginia, and he was like, man, it feels great outside. She said, just wait a couple of days, it's going to change.
Yeah, it always does. Well, guys, I am here with Drew Williams. He is, I like to call him, you've got a lot of titles as an auctioneer. I like to call him the GOAT of GOAT auctioneers. Jason Brashear calls you everybody's favorite auctioneer. And I think both of those titles are true. You may not think so, but
I don't know.
you don't get.
Try to be more humble than that.
Yeah, you don't have a dog in the fight. When somebody pays you a compliment, you just take it. Yeah, but Drew is a phenomenal auctioneer, and I wouldn't have him on if he wasn't. But he is a phenomenal auctioneer, a phenomenal person, someone that I look up to a lot as an auctioneer.
I'm a foot taller than you.
That's true. I'm the last to get rained on.
Yeah, I looked at the screen there. I was like, well, could have sat next to a skinny guy.
Well, I don't know, man, but Drew really is a great auctioneer and someone I look up to a lot in the business, and also just a great person. I've had the opportunity to work for you a couple of times, work with you, and I don't like saying work for anything. I think working with is a lot more.
I'll be honest with you, people don't work for me many times before we find somebody else, and just if you can't work with somebody, and especially in our business, and you need somebody, and we like for people working with us to be comfortable with our clients, but not too comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I don't want so we want to keep everybody as professional as possible, but we want to have that,
absolutely
keep that professional, but keep that warm and work with.
Yeah, well, you and Beth are great people to work with, and I really appreciate that. Drew, why don't you just go ahead and tell us the Drew Williams auctioneer origin story? How'd you get started in the business, and how'd you get to where you are today?
Well, I grew up in West Tennessee. New Bern, Tennessee is where I grew up. Most people know where Dyersburg is, especially if they like to duck hunt. They'll know where Dyersburg and Miston and Roe Ellen Bottoms and all that is. But when I got out of high school, I thought, man, I'd like to be an auctioneer. But at that time, auctions weren't as big. We're talking 20 years ago. Auctions weren't as big, and I couldn't find anybody to take me under their wing. I didn't really know that many auctioneers and that kind of thing. So I kind of moved on into the family business and stayed in the family business for a long time. My dad passed away in 2011. We were business partners, and I stayed down there a few more years, but that kind of shook things up a little bit for me. So we moved to Middle Tennessee, which is where Beth is from. Beth started selling real estate from a company down there named Charles Woodard & Associates. If you've ever been in Middle Tennessee, Mr. Charles Woodard started like in 1973. Tennessee Auctioneer Association Hall of Famer, been around a long time. He passed during COVID, but Beth was selling real estate there, and he asked me one Saturday, he said, do you want to come and help us tote boxes and stuff out? I said, shoot, yeah. I was actually logging, cutting trees, and for a living, had my own crew and doing my own thing, and I went, and it was a terrible auction. The weather was awful, snowed and everything. We actually put barrels out and had like homeless burn barrels and stuff, and we got done, and I looked at those guys like, y'all get paid to do this? And they're like, yeah. And I asked Mr. Charles if I could go to auction school, and he kind of hum-hawed around there a time or two, and I finally just said, hey, I'm going to go, and I went. And that was in June of 2017.
And you went to Nashville.
Went to Nashville Auction School under Wendell and Ressa. Had phenomenal teachers there. Respect Wendell and Ressa. Extreme amount. I actually had the opportunity may have been the last class before they sold the school. I actually had the opportunity to go down there and teach one time at Nashville Auction School and try to give back a little bit of kind of what I'd been given.
Yeah.
But I was fortunate to go down there, and I had Justin Oakes and Brian Knox, and just some great guys.
Absolutely.
That, and Nashville Auction School, I'm proud to say I'll give Nashville Auction School a little bump here if that's okay.
Absolutely, please do.
I'm great friends with Shane McCarroll and Jason Deal, and Nashville Auction School here in Tennessee. We're lucky to have it. The quality of education they're giving, the quality instructors they're bringing in. Trey Morris and Jay Cash and all those guys they're bringing in. Philip Traylor. I mean, we're talking about world champion, world class instructors. Right. So if you're watching this and you're looking for an auction school, and I don't get paid to do that, matter of fact, I think that the auctioneers need to support the auction school.
Yes.
And keep one going. So I'm always glad to go down there and pitch in.
You've taught a few classes for Nashville Auction School under Shane and Jason's leadership. So what are the classes that you teach?
Well, I just mainly I have taught bid calling there.
Yeah.
The other teaching I did was actually for the Tennessee Auctioneers Association. I was the chairman of the continuing education board last year. My co-chair, I'll give a little sad note, was Mr. Greg Hurst. We sadly lost Greg back in the winter. Back in January, and he was kind of my partner in that deal, and we went and actually had the opportunity to teach in Jackson, here in Murfreesboro, and then in Knoxville. So we taught 3 days consecutively. So really enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, talk a little bit about teaching bid calling at the school, because this is the Better Bid Calling podcast. We have a Better Bid Calling Facebook page. The whole purpose of this is to help new graduates further develop their bid calling skills. So, we really harp on learn your number brackets. Speed will come with experience. Get a filler word that works. What would you add to that as someone who teaches bid calling and has done bid calling for a long time?
Well, I don't know that I'm any sort of a great teacher, and I'll tell you, it never really hit me, but when Shane introduced me at Nashville Auction School, I've taught once for Shane, I've taught once for Wendell. When I went in there, Shane said that he made something along the line of when he introduced me. He said, "What Drew will give you will be organically his." Mm-hmm. My chant is mine. Mm-hmm. You could probably find a piece here and a piece there that we've rubbed off and all, but I got my chant over a period of probably a couple of years.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I'll bring up the little PA. One of the reasons I'm here today is to pick up the baby PA. Okay, so I'll get back to that, but I want to tell the story about the baby PA real quick. Okay, so I've got a little PA system that Charles Woodard actually bought new, and he was going to use it. It was like $500. Okay, and he was going to use it and do auctions with it. Well, we got it out, and Neil, Charles' son-in-law, Neil Trice, owns Charles Woodard Associates now. He said, "Man, that's not going to work." So they went and bought a nice new SP sound project system, same thing that you and I use now when you work with us.
Yep.
And that little PA. So I bought it from Charles Woodard when we started American Realty and Auction. I said, "Hey, Mr. Charles, I've still got that PA in my living room. I'd like to buy it." And he sold it to me, and I had a little PA in my living room, and I practiced on it every day.
Yep.
I don't know that I'll ever have the drive or desire to win another auction title quite like I did for winning the Tennessee Auctioneer Association rookie and then the Tennessee Auctioneer Association bid calling champion. I wanted those more than I wanted anything. I practiced 30, 45 minutes in the morning and at night on that little PA.
Yep.
And matter of fact, kind of the story as I remember, you said something about you were getting ready to start competing more, and I said, "Hey, you need this little PA." So I guess I should raffle the PA off because Joshua got it. He's gone and won Mule Day and went and won the Tennessee Auctioneer Association bid calling champion, and then went to Kentucky and got reserved. So there might be some magic in the little PA.
And I really should have said this at the beginning, but I was so excited to get talking to you about your actual stuff. But Drew, you're the only person that I know that is a 2-time state champion.
Well,
and the reason is because they didn't have the contest because of COVID in 2020. So you got to hold the title.
I got to hold the title in 2020 and 2021.
Yep.
They didn't send me another check though. That was the worst thing.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get. I got one plaque and didn't get a check. But
and Drew is the 2019 Mule Day Reserve champion, right? Or is that 2020?
I think it's 2020.
2020. I couldn't remember the year, but hey, we don't bring this to anybody on this podcast.
I got reserve the year that Corey Craig.
That's right.
Won. Yeah, Corey won, and then I believe Sean Hagler won the next year. Then you won this past year.
That's right.
And then that's coming up, man. That's just a little over a month.
Yeah. Hey, if y'all are listening to this and you want to compete in a great contest, that is. I would say it is a good contest for first-time competitors.
Sure.
Because the people who put it on are good as gold, and everyone that competes will make you feel welcome. Nobody is out to hurt you or harm you in any way. It's a great first-time contest, and I tell you something else. If you're a first-time competitor, the environment that you're in, it's one of the better environments because you're in a sale barn that's designed for auctions. It really helps you.
So I've got a quote about Mule Day, and if you go back, not the year I won reserve, I think it was the year before. Matter of fact, at the end, and I didn't rehearse this or anything, but at the end I said it's been an honor to sell here in the Mother Church of Auctioneering. Like, that's what Mule Day feels like. The Columbia, the TLP barn down there feels like kind of the Mother Church of Auctioneering to me.
It does. It really does. So, guys, if y'all are looking for a contest, that's the one to go to. All right, Drew, I've got some things here I want to bring up and get your thoughts on that I think will help these other guys. So, when I think of you as an auctioneer, I cannot help but think of irons and fires. You pioneered online auctions for Middle Tennessee, particularly the Dixon area. You do goat auctions, the registered boar goats with Boar Goat Nation and all these really, and that's what I've worked with you on, are those goat sales, and I mean $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 goats. You do live auctions with personal property occasionally, but and you do real estate. You and Beth both do real estate. So all of those, if you just have somebody like that and you look at them, you're like, that is so spread out. How does someone sell a $50,000 goat, first of all, and then go and sell a house, and then have a pocket knife and coin collection online? So talk a little bit about your experience and what got you involved in all those different things and how you keep them level.
I think mainly you have to have a driving force.
Yes.
And the main driving force was we were poor. I mean, we didn't come from money, either one of us. Like I said, my dad passed away. I sold the family business a few years after that and all. And, I always have had to scratch and claw to get where I am. First generation auctioneer. Yeah. You're blessed to be a second generation auctioneer. But
absolutely.
I'm a first generation auctioneer, and always never really had a job. I've always been self-employed, and done that. But my main driving force was necessity and need money. We started a little bit before COVID doing online auctions in Dixon. I learned from Shane McCarroll. I mean, just straight up, Shane kind of took us under his wing and taught us. And it was really, really helpful that we started before COVID, because once COVID hit and they considered realtors and auctioneers essential workers, we could keep working. We never stopped. And we would just get those estates, and we would just keep banging those online auctions out. And we weren't selling really anything great and fancy, but we were paying our bills. And when COVID hit, I was traveling and doing a lot of auctions as a contract auctioneer, and all that played out all at once. And one day we sat down, and I said, "We've got 12 months worth of money." And Beth's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, We're done. We're literally bankrupt in 12 months. We sold our farm out in the edge of the country, moved to town to start this company. We had put so much of all of our savings. We literally had invested everything we had into that, and we just kept scratching away. Well, you've had Best Little Chocolate Cookies. We went and made a really nice brochure, started passing out those brochures and cookies to attorneys and closing companies and everybody that would. And before we knew it, we had more online auctions than we would just could take. So right there at the crest of COVID kind of hits, I'm sitting there and I get a call one night. And the call comes in and this guy says, "Hey, I hear that you can sell goats." Well, we had raised and bred some registered goats, and Riley had shown, and we didn't have any at the current time. And I said, "Yeah, I can sell them." And I went to Putnam County, and Putnam County Fairgrounds in the old barn there in Cookeville, and I sold my first, not the first, but my first Bluegrass Showdown production sale. And I walked off the block. And here's the thing, we had been selling and we knew how to sell, but that was, a new thing. Jason Brashear narrated that sale. Absolutely one of the absolute top narrators in the country. So he kind of took us through, I guess. All the shows and sales had canceled. The market was screaming hot. The prices were super high. Josh Pilcher had a high selling buck. We sold 2 CCB Bad Bunny that day for $20,000. And we sold 2 CCB Medusa that same day. That was his flush sister, Bad Bunny's flush sister, like $8,500. And it was just a great day. We had buyers that, money was hot, and I'll walk off the block and 2 more people hire me. Brian Sharp and Logan King walk up and hire me to do the Music City sale. And Miss Cindy Dusek was running DV Auction, and she came up and said, "My husband just called and said, can we get you for our sale?" I sold 3 sales in 2020, and that's kind of where we got started.
I mean, last year with the goat sales, you had almost a sale, not every weekend, but I mean, you probably had 2 a month if you average it out, maybe more. I don't remember how many exactly.
I think we did 27 or 28 last year live. There was a spot in the fall last year where we were 12 weeks straight in about 7 different states, and life sort of became a blur. The transmission went out in my truck. They're like 60 days to get a transmission. Like, I can't do that. We had to trade trucks in the middle of the fall season. Like, it was crazy because we were in Iowa and we were in Kentucky and we were, just everywhere. And, working our real estate business in there too. We sold a handful of good real estate at auction last year, as well as some traditional real estate. And last year was just an absolute blessing to our family as far as the amount of work and all we had.
Well, that's the thing about what you do that I think helps you as an auctioneer, and these guys who are listening to this podcast. Y'all have got to realize auctioneers don't just get the blessing of getting up and talking. Okay, it's work. And I'll say this because Drew will not brag on himself, but you will not outwork Drew Williams as an auctioneer, as a person. You're not going to do it. Work ethic is key. Now, I'm blessed because my job, like we're recording here at the church.
Two Church of Christ, boys. Salem Creek Church of Christ here.
That's it, man. But, my job is to preach.
Sure.
And then when I show up to do auctions, I do get the benefit of just going up there and selling for the most part. Not to say that there's not work involved that I do, but that's typically what I get to do. But if you're making this your fundamental career, it's work. And you've got to have that work ethic.
Well, the problem is, and I'm sure there's some new aspiring auctioneers on here, and I just took I've got my first apprentice, Lee Derryberry. He lives down in Decaturville, Tennessee. He's going to apprentice under us.
Awesome.
And he's hungry. He's a young guy.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow night, I have that elite dose sale in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
Yep.
Well, Clarksville's just right outside of Hopkinsville. Well, Philip Traylor's son-in-law, Mr. Brandon Powers, just got out of auction school. And I told Brandon, I said, won't you come up and ring that elite doe sale, and you'll get to see kind of what it is we do. And we'll probably sell a few does over $20,000 tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And but you've got to dig back in. But I think the problem is everybody thinks they go to auction school and somebody hands them a microphone.
Right.
They don't realize that you go work. And I remember when I started at Charles Woodard, there were six auctioneers there, including me, maybe 7. And you'd sell till your time was up, and then you'd hand the mic off. You know, you've done that, and you're working down these tables, you know, selling pots and pans, and that's where I cut my teeth. Well, when somebody would hand me, if Neil started the sale, I'd be standing right beside him because I wanted to be, when they got tired or ready to hand off, they'd hand off to me. And I was so careful, Josh, never to clear my throat, never to cough, try not to bobble, because as soon as you did, they're like, oh, he needs a break. Y'all get him somebody else. I went as long and as hard as they'd let me go. But then I'd go back to, you know, toting boxes and getting there at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, there's no job above anybody else.
I still park cars in my own auctions.
Absolutely. All right, let me ask you a couple more things. You are the proud father of a lovely young lady and a wonderful young man who I think the world of, Riley, Kate, and Weston. I enjoy getting to see your posts on Facebook, which typically are sharing goat stuff. But one thing that I love getting to see is Weston in particular's love of the auction business. I mean, it seems, at least from what I see on Facebook, he's in it. He wants to do it. So talk a little bit about what we as auctioneers who've been, even though I consider us to be young, even though we're younger auctioneers, what we can do to take kids or young people in high school and get that fire lit in them where they can want to be a part of that career.
I think there's such a fine line between working them like mules and burning them out.
That's right.
And working them and keeping them just busy enough to keep their fire lit. If when in the fall time, Weston doesn't go with me much because Weston wants to deer hunt with his granddaddy. I definitely don't stand in the way of that. My kids are at a little bit of a disadvantage because we don't get to play sports that much. They're not in love with sports, but they don't get to play that much because I'm on the road all the time.
Right.
And our business and our office, you know, we have to take the office so much, you know. Beth's not at home either, so it's not like, you know. Matter of fact, and I want to say this, I had a lady last year that come up to me, and I had missed several ball games in a row. I do a podcast for Borg Up Nation every Tuesday night, like religiously for the last year. So if Weston had a Tuesday night game at 7 o'clock, I missed it.
Right.
You know, it just is what it is. And of course, you know, FaceTime and that kind of stuff kind of bridges the gap. But I missed a few ball games. We'd had a few sales and stuff, and I still contract work for some people. You know, Clint Connor calls, I'll go up there and sell for him, and Greg Langford a call, I go sell for him. You know, if somebody needs me on an open weekend, I go. I live for this business. And I missed a few ball games, and this lady walked up to me, and Weston had like 3 good hits that game I was there. You know, I was pumped up. And this lady walks up to me. It was a grandmother, and she didn't mean anything by it, but she said, Weston just loves when his daddy's here. He just does so much better. And I think I was respectful, but I said, you know what else Weston loves? And she said, what? I said, Under Armour bags and expensive bats and cleats and that kind of stuff too. And I think she understood what I was saying, that, you know, I'm a dad, and I like to think I'm a good dad, but I'm a good provider too, you know, and we work to give our kids things. Weston told me, and I'm sure I snapped you the picture, Weston told me about 2 weeks ago that he wanted to be an auctioneer when he grew up. He's never actually told me that before. Beth said he had told her before, but as a matter of fact, I'm sitting in the chair last night, and Weston says, well, Dad, he always said he was going to start auctioneering when he was 9. He's 8. He turns 9 in December. He says, well, Dad, I'm going to sell the Borg Up Nation Cups this weekend. And I was like, you are? He said, yeah. I said, probably better start practicing. You mentioned number brackets earlier. We ran number brackets all the way to school this morning.
Right.
And those Borg Up Nation Cups, we've been so fortunate. You've sold them, and they brought just unbelievable money that is just tremendous. And we weren't running $5 brackets. We were trying to run $100 brackets.
That's right.
And I said, do you know what's between 400 and 500? 450. I said, okay, well, this deal might work.
It's just awesome to see. And you know, Weston, for example, like, I'd love to see him become an auctioneer one day. He may find something else that he wants to do, and that's fine. But there's something about being an auctioneer that when you're in the public eye, people look at you, And auctioneers need to remember that. Like, you're always being watched.
Sure.
And that's important for how you carry yourself with integrity. But I think even more so than just being watched, kids love auctioneers because we do things that are cool. We do things that other people can't do with how we sound. And, you know, I go to Etheridge almost every Saturday with Keith Scrimshire, a good friend of ours. And when he's up there, you can see the kids just light up. When I'm up there, kids want to come and talk to both of us when we're done. And,
Sure.
you know, I had one kid come the other day just because he wants to be an auctioneer and wants to know how to get started. And that was really, really neat. Drew, one more thing before we have some rapid fire questions. You have really promoted the goat auction, just in general, but the goat auction world. I mean, the goat auctions have always been a huge thing, but it seems here lately, like within the past, I don't know how long you've been doing it, 3, 4, 5 years, it's really shot off, and that has caused you. But, you know, when I think of you, I talked about work ethic already, but when I think of you, I think of an innovator. Like, you're always looking for new ways to do old things in a new way. So you started Boar Goat Nation, and I know you didn't do that by yourself. You obviously had help and other people doing it with you, but you started Herd Builder Pro. So in about 5 minutes or less, can you talk about both of those and how being an auctioneer has helped innovate new paths for a particular industry?
So I came into the boar goat business sort of by accident.
Yep.
You know, like I said, we were raising a few goats and got the opportunity to sell. Well, we came in and I fell in love. Fell in love with the people. I talk to a handful of breeders every single day now. Like, they're some of my closest friends.
Yep.
And that's branched us into other parts of their lives too. You know, where we do real estate business. We've done a lot of real estate business. You know, Elizabeth Westfall, they called us last year and said, "Hey, my sister's moving to Nashville. Can y'all help her find a house?" We know Elizabeth Westfall and her family, Colton, through boar goats. And, you know, that we fell in love, and just that's what we wanted to do. And, you know, we just went after it. It's hard to, and you were talking about being a preacher here too, but it's hard to beat a guy that gets up every day and goes after auction business every single day.
Absolutely.
It's hard to beat a guy that lives, eats, breathes, and gives his life 7 days a week. And I get it. I've given up a lot. I miss those ball games and stuff. And some of you may not want to give those ball games up, and I totally respect that.
Sure.
But I have a fire that burns in me so hot, and I'm so driven and so motivated to go get it. I'm not that smart. If you get right down to it, I'm not brilliant. You don't have to be brilliant to be successful.
That's right. Thank goodness.
Hard work and experience will get you such a learning, will cut the learning curve so far down. It's unbelievable. So I was in Paducah, Kentucky a couple of years ago, and I just had been thinking about a way to give back. And Boar Goat Nation was sort of formed there. I got on the phone with Jason Brashear, and we talked it out and formed Boar Goat Nation. We started raising money. Our goal was to raise $1,500 by selling T-shirts, like giving a couple of bucks back per T-shirt, and try to get a scholarship for a kid to buy a goat. It exploded.
Yep.
We now have a board of 5 people that are industry leaders and experts, and we just gave away 7 $2,500 scholarships about 3 weeks ago, and we raised almost $50,000 last year. Now we have some expense and things like that to get to buy booths and things for nationals, but Boar Goat Nation was formed, and hey, any of you guys that are in the cattle business, the hog business, and are auctioneers and are interested in trying to do what we've done in the boar goat business, we don't have it perfected, but I'll tell you everything I know, because I can promise you I'm not looking for another full-time job that costs me money.
That's right.
Like I did that. So anybody's interested in that, if you're big in the cattle business or hog business or something, we'd be glad to help you out and tell you what we know. But Boar Goat Nation's a 501c3, and we're helping kids do that. Herd Builder Pro was something that I had thought about a lot because we've done about 100 online auctions, primarily estate, jewelry, coins, pocket knives. Now we have sold some nice estates and Mercedes Benz and stuff, but we had done about 100 online auctions. So not that I would think we're an expert, but I feel like we know how online auctions work. Well, there's so many breeders, new breeders that have come in, spent tons of money, but they can't just get on the phone and call and get in a sale. No different than you can't just call Salem Street Church of Christ and say, I want to preach the 10 o'clock service Sunday morning. It just don't work that way.
Right.
So I wanted to find a way to bridge the gap. HerdBuilderPro.com was something that is not just an online marketplace for livestock. We're going to sell coon pigs, and we're going to sell stock dogs, and we're going to sell horses and ponies and mini cows, and we're going to sell goats. We're going to sell semen and embryos and live jumps and bred recips, and we're going to sell all that stuff for all the species. But it's a marketing platform. It's a way for you to bring your livestock and reach that global marketplace. Now, are we the first people to do it? Absolutely not. Dan Willoughby and Willoughby Livestock's been in business for 20 plus years, and there's other companies that are doing online auctions and doing a nice job. We're not after what everybody else is doing, and I think in our business model you can study what we've done and figure out that, hey, Drew kind of goes after what everybody else isn't going after. I think I've been so successful because would I love to go sit and sell cars in a lane 3 days a week? Yeah. Would I love to go sit in a cattle barn and sell cattle? Yeah. But you got to get in a line to do that.
Right.
I found a niche with the boar goats, and we kind of went and did that. Now, when I said did that, we went to shows. We traveled to Fort Worth and to Louisville and go spend a week at Nationals for family vacation. Our family vacation is 9 days in Louisville, Kentucky this year at the ABGA Nationals. But Herd Builder Pro, I'm going after those breeders that haven't done the online before and need a place, and the new guys and all. And what I'm wanting to do, and I've said this publicly on the Boar Goat Nation podcast, is I want to get these bigger breeders to help these younger people.
Yes.
Not necessarily even younger, just the newer,
new guys,
the greener breeders. They need a spot to sell those goats. So this big breeder that has all this marketing potential and the Facebook following to do this helps and coaches this team right here, and this team gives up a certain percentage of their animal or whatever that deal is. They put an online sale together and sell and market those animals, because here's the thing, Josh, if we cut the legs off of the people that are buying our goats, where's the market going?
Right.
We've got to keep expanding the market. Goat meat is the #1 most imported meat in the United States. Do you know that?
I did not. I do now.
Goat meat is the #1. Let me say it again. Goat meat is the #1 most imported meat in the United States.
That's crazy.
What does that mean? We're not meeting the demand in our commercial goats. Now, I probably sell the top 1/3 or 1/4 of a percent of the goats in this, the registered goats in this country. Like it's such a small number, 3,000 head a year or something, Well, but we're selling the racehorse. We're selling the Kentucky Derby champion goat. We're selling, the highest bred, the phenotypically, genotypically, absolute cream of the crop. Well, that goat mated with another beautifully bred animal. It's not always going to make perfect animal. There's ugly people in this world. There's people that are, it's not going to always work.
Right.
Supermodels don't always make supermodels.
Right.
So what happens to those animals? They go into the commercial business. And there's commercial breeders too, but I think that was probably 10 minutes of your 5 minutes.
Well, that's all right.
But anyway, that's kind of how my mind works.
Well, I mean, what it sounds like to me, what y'all are doing with Herd Builder Pro, among other things, is exactly what this Better Bid Calling is trying to be. It's a way for those with experience to help those who don't have experience get experience and get into the world.
And I can tell you, I am definitely a witness of the first man gets the first bullet.
Yeah.
This podcast is not going to come without its bumps and bruises.
Been there.
Yeah. Boar Goat Nation, here we are trying to raise money and give away goats. I get more criticism more bad publicity and more people mad at me about the charity that I give 20 hours a week in a podcast to for at my cost than I do selling 30 sales a year. And it's just when you try to start something, you make sure your heart's in the right place. You better put on a big set of shoulders and try to keep those chips knocked off your shoulders, because it's easy to get disgruntled. And like I said, the man running out front is going to take the first bullet.
That's right. And it's also good to have people in your corner that you can lean on and that support you too. And I know both
we've
of us
got a ton of that
for sure.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Drew. I got 6 questions here, rapid fire, just real quick. Interesting things that as an auctioneer in your world may be cool to talk about. All right. So question number 1: what is the weirdest item you have sold at auction, be it online or live?
The weirdest item. Gosh, this is supposed to be rapid fire, isn't it?
That's right. I'll tell you mine while you think of yours. The weirdest thing that I ever sold was a wicker casket.
That's pretty weird.
It was a Vietnam era casket, and it was in a antique strip mall that we were selling out, and I just was behind the microphone at the time, but that was pretty weird.
If you're in the ag business, this is probably not that weird, but if you're not, it might be. I make a good living selling goat semen.
Yeah,
and I've sold a lot of it.
Yeah, if you're not in the ag business, you're right. That would be.
So I mean, I can think that would be probably weird.
Probably.
A straw, and I know this is quick fire. A 5-inch straw. With enough semen to breed one doe. I've sold a straw for as much as $4,000.
Right.
We sold them for $50, but I've sold them as much as $4,000.
Yeah. Well, some people would think $50 is expensive too.
$4,000.
All right. Number 2. Of the items that you have sold. Because, I mean, we've already talked about the wide range of work that you do with livestock and online stuff and real estate and everything. Is there one item that sticks out that's your favorite to talk about?
I get questioned about the goats most of the time. The people that know me want to talk about the goats. Why do the goats bring that much money? But I'll be honest with you, the biggest paychecks when you sell real estate.
Well, yeah, for sure.
So I guess I'd probably have to say the most fun, sitting on a block selling a set of goats. The most rewarding is selling real estate.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, you talked about developing your chant over the course of several years, which everybody does.
I'm still. I will say something this weekend I've never said before that I don't know where it came from.
Sure. Favorite filler word?
My favorite filler word is I don't know how much I use it in my chant. It's probably something I use a lot, but it's been butchered into something else. But I'm at a bid.
Yeah.
And I did a pretty popular TikTok video on I'm at a bid. I think that anybody can use that. I know this is a rapid fire, but I like to talk a lot. But so the thing with I'm at a bid, and everybody wants to be fast, Josh. I never wanted to be fast. I wanted to be good. Right. I wanted to be clear. And I don't know that I'm good now, but I wanted to be clear. My grandmother used to come 80 years old to my auctions, and she could understand where I was at. And I've had goat farmers and breeders tell me that, hey, I can stand in the barn and get my goats ready, and I can hear where you're at. And you can take the most brilliant chant from the fastest auctioneer in the country. You can take TJ Frigie or Shane Ratliff or Trey Morris's, chant, and slow that thing down and make it so, you know what I mean? They're not that complex at the end of the day. Most of us not.
Right.
So I'm going to be as my favorite one because 1, I'm at a bid 1, I'm at a bid 2, I'm at a bid 2, I'm at a bid 3, I'm at a bid 3 million, I'm at a bid 30,000, I'm at a bid 20,000, 21,000, I'm at a bid 21, I'm at a bid 22,000, I'm at a bid 23. My son, my 8-year-old son, can use I'm at a bid. That's what I'm teaching him to use right now.
Yep, that's a good one. And you've chopped it and added extra syllables in there, and it sounds rhythmic.
I don't know what it is now. I know what my filler loop is, and you may be getting there, so I won't give it out now, and I don't mind telling it. But I'm gonna bid is probably something I use, but it may not sound like that anymore. Yeah,
well, that's probably true for all of us. All right, so Drew, you are a TAA state champion, Mule Day Reserve champion. When it comes to contest, if you had one piece of advice to give someone preparing for a contest besides practice, what would it be?
Show up.
There you go.
You know, here's the thing, and I know that sounds so dumb, but I had an auctioneer tell me one time, he came up, and this is before I had ever won. Matter of fact, he told me this the year that I won both of them. He said, I'm going to win both of the state competitions this year. And I said, that's great, man. And I had been competing a little bit. Yeah. And matter of fact, I graduated auction school in the summer of 2017. November of 2017 was the first state competition. Not rookie, but state competition. Right. I got last place. That was the year that Jay Cash won. I got last place. Went back the next year, got second. Went back the next year and won. You got to show up.
A lot can happen in a year.
Man, if you don't show up,
that's right.
And that's the main thing. Show up.
Yep. And if you don't do as well as you want, keep competing. Like,
I got last place.
Don't quit. Do not quit. All right, that's good. Number 5. We talk a lot about contests on this page because a lot of people that want help want it so they can go and succeed in contests, which is great. I think contests are incredibly beneficial. So, in your opinion, because you have competed, you do compete, what makes contests valuable? Why should an auctioneer compete in a contest?
Well, if it wasn't for competitions, I would never have gotten to do a lot of the things I did. I met Jay Cash and Shane McCarroll competing.
We met competing, so we met competing
too. Some of the highest, most awesome things that I've got to witness is because of relationships there.
Yep.
Because of the relationships with Jay and Shane, I've met Lee Bryce and Luke Bryan. I met George W. Bush. I've shook hands with George W. Bush through connections I made competing. I talk to people all the time. I don't talk to them a lot. I don't talk to these guys a lot, but there's auctioneers that I think are just amazing, awesome guys. And if I call them right now, they'll pick the phone up and talk to me.
Yep.
And you know, I missed him. I couldn't see him. I was in a huge barn, and but Jacob Massey showed up to one of my auctions last year. And by the time I found out he was there, he had gone, and I introduced him as, you know, runner-up world livestock auction champion. And Keith said, "Well, he's already left." You know, but that was such an honor, you know, when guys like that show up, and the brotherhood and the camaraderie and stuff, and when you go and compete, you get that bond. That's I'm gonna tell you something. I may go down there to Mule Day and get last place this year, but I can tell you right now, there's some guys that I look forward to seeing when I get down there.
Absolutely. All right, one last question. What is one piece of advice that you would give an auctioneer who just graduated auction school, just starting his or her apprenticeship and looking to be a live bid caller?
Take every job you're offered if you can. Show up early. Don't whine. Don't expect anything. I know this is more than one, but you know, I worked a ton of auctions. I worked a ton of auctions after I had already won my state championships and toted boxes. I'll sell box lots for anybody. I don't care. You call me, you got an auction, you need me, and I'm an empty man. If you need me to come up here and tote boxes, park cars, I trash out my own auctions, you know what I mean? There's no job that's too big. You got to show up early. You got to want it. You can't expect anything.
Right.
You've got to prove while you're there, and you've got to grind, and you've got to grind, and you've got to grind. And it may not be a 2-week process. But I can promise you, you show up early, and you work your butt off. At some point, that auctioneer's going to turn to you and go, there it is. And I'm a big guy, and I like to eat. I'd rather hold a microphone than eat, I promise you. I promise you.
I know that's true because I've seen you go all day without eating because you've been stuck behind the mic.
It's tough, you know. I mean, I've gone, and there's guys that probably gone longer, but 5, 6, 7 hours really often, and you know, maybe you know use the bathroom. That's another reason those Borgo Nation Cups are so important. It gives me a chance to go to the bathroom.
That's right.
But my other piece of advice is the last one. I've always carried with me. I've had a little bit of cold this week, but fisherman's friend.
Yeah.
You've seen me eat a million of these things.
Whew, strong.
These are the honey lemon. I get them on Amazon, buy them by the case. But if I could give you one suggestion, if you don't already know, Wendell Hanson turned me on to these. The Fisherman's Friends Extra Strength will absolutely bring tears to your eyes. I can sell. I've got one in my mouth right now. I don't dip. I don't do anything like that, but I do keep these. And if your voice is going down and you think you're not going to be able to make it, these right here will get you
They're
through.
lifesavers.
They're in the door of my truck. They're in the console. They're in all my mic cases. They're in the cord box. They're probably in the computer box. I mean, I'm not going to run out.
I had someone tell me years ago, if you can't talk after sucking on one of those things, you need to go to the ER because something's drastically wrong. We're going to do a video here in the near future about an Auctioneer's toolkit, and it's not microphone and speakers. It's things like that and other stuff that.
And I watched set through a good class, the Tennessee Auctioneers Association, and that's another thing too. And I'm going to make a plug here too. I sat on the board of directors for Tennessee Auctioneers Association. I'm in my second year, and. Get involved with your state. You've talked about this the other day, but get involved with your state auctioneer. And there's guys that would come in here and be proponents to go to be a member of the National Auctioneer Association. That's great and all, but you need that state bond. Those guys that are around you that you can call and have a feeder system. And then as you network and you get into other states, when I go to Ohio, I called Peter Garrett last year and I said, Peter, I need a ringman. He put me on Chip Yoakum. Chip Yoakum ring sales for me up there. Chip Yoakum's a world-class ringman, auctioneer. He's a great guy. But that's just my connections because Peter came down, taught at the Tennessee Auctioneer Association. I was there, met him. He actually judged me the year I won, so I like Peter. He's a great guy.
Peter's a good guy.
But anyway, called him, and he gave me 2 or 3 names and found me a ringman that way. And, that's great. And but get involved with your state.
Yes. It's... You don't realize how much they do for you until you're in it and you're seeing it firsthand. I know I didn't. I've always been, since I've had my license, I've always been a member of TAA, but it hadn't been until the past couple of years that I've really tried to get more involved with it, and been a huge blessing. They really do a lot for our state, and I know other organizations do the same as well.
And stay after your buddies like Josh here. Stayed after you for a couple of years to come and win the state. And there's other guys that I call and just, come on, man, you need to come up here and win this thing,
Well, you need to be a cheerleader of other people.
Oh.
You and I both know how important it is to have people in your corner who are fighting and rooting for you. And if you're, I say this all the time on the Facebook page, but if you are not helping someone else, you are only hurting yourself.
At the end of an auction competition, especially if you're a past champion and you're there and you don't have a bill at the end of that thing that scares you,
you
need to look back in that mirror. And I get, don't spend more than you can afford. I get that.
Sure.
But
well, I can tell you right now, we're already saving up to go spend a bunch of money that we probably don't need to spend come Mule Day, because I'm ready to sit in the stands and support every person there that I
won't get to sit in the stands that day, but just like at the TAA conventions and stuff like that, I've been the benefit of a lot of people that have been very generous to bid on the items and make them bring really good money, give me a chance to show my showcase and stuff, and you've always got those guys in the back of the room and that do great. And I don't want to start mentioning names because I'll miss somebody, but there's always those few guys that really hold in there for people, and really bid and really just.
Well, you did that for me at the state contest.
Yeah, it cost me a lot of money.
You wound up with a pink cooler that is now in the hands of someone else.
I gave it away. Herd Builder actually gave that away, but. We bought stuff for you, but man, we bid on stuff for everybody. And, I ended up with a $200 hoodie that I see Riley wearing to school now. It don't even fit me, but that's the stuff you do. But at an auction competition, it's going to a good cause.
That's right. Yeah, it's not. You're not spending your money just because you want the item. You're spending it, first of all, I think, to help whoever's on stage and showcase their talents, and second of all, I guess with every contest, it either goes back to the association, to a charity. The people aren't pocketing that money for themselves.
Well, with the Mule Day, it's going to the Breakfast Rotary Club and the American Legion Post 19.
Yep.
And then at the Tennessee Auctioneer Association, it's obviously going back to the association.
Right.
Well, the buyer's premium is going to our Tennessee Auctioneers Scholarship Program. Right. Which is helping kids to get scholarships for college, and so it's always benefiting a good thing. And a lot of the times, I think you're going to find that check you write for those items is probably going to be tax deductible as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to your CPA. I'm not a CPA.
Yep.
I don't want to be audited or anything, but I think if you check in, you'll find that that's going to be a good tax deductible donation for you as well.
Yep.
You don't have to be an auctioneer to go to a competition and do some good.
Not at all. All right, one more thing before we get off here. I ask every guest that I have, which I've only had one so far. You're lucky number two.
Can't believe I'm behind Rylan. No, I'm just kidding.
It's all right.
I'm just kidding. He's a great guy.
The only Rylan was the Kentucky champion, and I judged him, so that's one reason why we did that.
But he's a great guy.
All right, so I am going to ask every guest that I have to sell something. So won't you sell this beautiful lamp behind us here? Give us a little taste of that. I know you're sick, but give us a little taste of that auction chant.
Yeah. So, like I said, and I want to say this before I sell this and we close out. I appreciate you having me on and doing this kind of content. Content's not easy to do because you will be judged for the things you're said and you'll be critiqued. But a few weeks ago, a man told me that I had said some things on my podcast that I was like, I don't think I said that. And I went back and checked, but he still believes I did. I did, and it's fine, But you're going to get critiqued, but what you're doing here is a good thing. It's giving people, I started a TikTok page, and it's got almost 18,000 followers, and it's nothing but me just chanting or cooking a steak or, doing some stuff on there. So I encourage people to get out of their comfort zone. This is not easy if you're not used to doing it, to get out of your comfort zone and do it, but pitch in and do what you can. And like I said, support where you can and that kind of thing. But anyway, I appreciate being on here.
Well, glad to have you, man.
Yeah, anyway, so, all right, on the lamp right here. So, how many of the David and money get $1 get $5? How many of the 5, 10, 15? How many of the David and money get 15, 20? How many of the $20, 25? How many of the $25? How many of the 25, 30? How many of the David and money get $1 get 30, 30 get $30? Where? So, $25.
There you go, brother. Man, I love listening to you. I've even gone on Facebook and searched, because you've got a lot of videos and pictures and stuff, and gone all the way down to where there's videos of you selling, just so I could listen to it.
Well, I'm probably going to, I thought about this last night. I'm probably going to go live tomorrow. I've got an elite dose, so it's only 12 head, I think, and I think it's going to be stellar. It's going to be lights and smoke and all that kind of stuff. So I might go live tomorrow night and give people, not necessarily to showcase what I'm doing, but just bring a little bit of love to the goat business.
And
because
why not?
I love the boar goat business. I love the boar goat people. I love the boar goat.
Yeah.
I don't personally own one right now, but it's one of the greatest animals. We always pray before an auction. And I always say, thank you, God, for giving us one of the most amazing, most personable creatures in the world. Because they're livestock, but they're like dogs. They have personalities and they recognize you and stuff. So I love the auction industry and I love the boar goat.
Yep. Well, I know you do, and anybody that knows you knows that you do. Guys, thank you all for tuning in, listening today. We have one of these every month, Lord willing, and looking forward to see what happens. If there's any way that we can help you develop your chant, if there's any way that we can help you get ready for contests, give you a little bit of advice, it's like Drew said, there are people who are going to look at what we're doing and say, oh, they're just doing that to showboat or showcase themselves or whatever. That's really not at all what any of this is. This is brought about because I was asked to do something like this, and I think it's a great way to help people develop their skills. So if you guys need anything, just reach out to us. We'll help you as best as we can. But with that, we're going to close off, and we'll see you next month in our next podcast.
You've been listening to the Better Bid Calling podcast. If you would like to sponsor an episode, please contact us at betterbidcalling@gmail.com.